I've noticed in myself that I go through seasons where I prioritize discomfort, and I don't like to admit that at all in any way at all. But it happens to me too. And I like to think that I have changed quite a bit and matured, but sometimes I revert back to the 5-year-old version of myself. I just want to be comfortable. Maybe I make my own schedule. I have to be self motivated. I work from home and I've had to create a lot of boundaries for myself. I don't want to call them rules because I don't like rules. And sometimes when I make rules for myself, I break them. So I have to play all these war, like mind games with myself. It feels like I'm at war in my own mind most days, to be honest with you. And I can relate to why people quit at the first sign of discomfort. One of the first times I realized this was in the gym, working out with other people that worked out harder than me, and basically them saying, "Well, did you die?" And the answer is no. And I have this vision of me doing lunges with this woman named Kelly that I used to work out with almost every day. And she would run her gym class, do body pump. The body pump, for those who have never taken it, it's like 5 minutes. It's a whole song of one body part. And there's one song of just lunges, and I used to love that. I grew to love it. I used to hate it, but I eventually ended up loving it because I just remember my glute burning so bad, and then she'd finally switch, and it feels like the muscle is gonna tear off the bone, and of course, you don't want that to happen, but that's one of the nice things about doing the same thing or similar exercises every day is okay, you push yourself to that point where you didn't hurt yourself, it was very uncomfortable, and the next day, yeah, you're sore, but now you know next time when you feel that type of pain, that level of pain, you know, okay, well, maybe I can push through a couple more reps. And then you realize, okay, I didn't die, I didn't hurt myself. So, and of course, you don't always know that line until you cross it, unfortunately. And don't be stupid. That's also one of my rules. I'm sure you've heard me say. But I think most people err on the side of comfort and maybe haven't even tried to push themselves past the point of being somewhat miserable, even if it's just for a few seconds a day. And then tying this back to work, because I think most of the people that follow me are workaholics, are ambitious people. And I am an ambitious person as well. I fight war in my head every day, even just doing the boring stuff, responding to the emails, going through the Asana tasks, writing the renewal letter, creating the proposal, creating the presentation, the dopamine side of me, the part of my brain that craves dopamine comes up with every single excuse not to do it. And the most frustrating part for me is I get into a rhythm where I get very rewarded from the work I do. And then I hit this season or this ledge or this wall, or this mental block that I can't go anymore, or that now it's boring all of a sudden. Like yesterday, it was fun, it's sticky, or things aren't going my way. Like those work days where you work on a problem and the solution is evident and you just flow through it and everybody's firing on all cylinders, and then you hit this sludge. I hit this sludge. Not every day at work, not every day in business is going to be a good day, but we put on our running shoes, our sneakers, and our gym equipment. We get in the car and we drive our ass to the gym and we go anyway, even if we have a shitty workout. Getting a workout in is better than no workout. Going through the motions at work and within my work and within my job or within my mission is better than not doing it, because I have to have faith that if I continue to suit up and show up, it's going to get easier. So, one of the many rules that I have for myself when I'm feeling this is start with 15 minutes. And if I only do 15 minutes on that task that I really don't want to do, then that's fine. The next day, I then do 30, and then the next day, 45, and the next day, an hour. And I usually try to build up to 2 hours a day on a project if it's really important. I find that if I get my working blocks longer than 2.5 hours, it may not be as productive or I start fiddling. So anyway, I try to aim for 2.5 hours, and I've found that that works really well, especially when I am building in a new time that I am working on something. So just starting out with 15 minutes, and same thing goes with the gym. Like when I went back kind of in and out of weightlifting right now, I dance. I've been doing dance classes. I swear to God, I've been doing dance classes. I'm pretty much just doing glutes and dance right now. So, yeah. But when I got back into, I was like, "Bro, I really got to build these glutes." Because when I decided to stop weightlifting, mostly because I was getting injured after having a 10.5 pound baby, my back, I kept re-injuring my back. So I said, all right, so I'm gonna have to stop this whole weightlifting thing and find something else that interests me or that I can put my energy into. So that's when I started dancing more. And that summer, I got in a bathing suit and I hadn't lost a pound of muscle anywhere else except my ass. So now, now I am trying to work on my glutes a couple of days a week. And it starts with one set. Okay. I don't got to go in there and do a whole glute killing class with a personal trainer for an hour because I'm starting at zero. So just one set a week is what I started with, and then it was 2, and then it was 3, and then I think I started out with 1, 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week. I just increased the days, and then I increased the number of sets and the number of you just increase the volume slowly over time. There's no point, I've said it before, there's no point in going to the gym and having one epic workout where you get a ton of stuff done and then never work out again. The point is doing something every day, something that you can commit to on a weekly or daily basis. And same thing goes for work. Working on a meaningful project, working on your life's mission, working on building a business, doing something every single day is going to yield better results than just sprinting and having one epic work day. But did you die? So that's something I've heard a couple of trainers say and other people say, and the answer is no. So when we do things that are uncomfortable in the moment, our brains, subconscious, there's this subtle message that tells us we're hurting ourselves or that we might die if you really dig down and spend time in that place. And again, that tug of war, that war in the mind that comes up with every excuse in that minute why you should stop, and getting comfortable with having those arguments with myself and later laughing about it. And the more recent example I have of my procrastinations, for me fighting with procrastination, is I'm studying for the SHRM exam. And I set aside an hour a day to study. And I find myself I sitting down to study. I found myself all of a sudden I'm cleaning out my closet. So although it was productive to clean my closet out, it wasn't really what I should have been doing in that moment. Right? It wasn't what my big girl self told me to do. So I wasn't following. I was on my hands and knees cleaning out this closet, and I realized in that moment I'm not doing what my big girl self told me to do. I'm not following the general. And I was just really fighting with myself for a whole week straight about this exam and getting ready for it. And it's just been a lot of fun watching my brain wander all over the place. And I believe I heard Layla Hormozy talk about, I don't know if she coined the term, but definitely liked the term she used, which was productive procrastination. Like, that is Sometimes I do this to myself on purpose. I'll say I'm gonna do something that I know I don't wanna do, like this SHRM exam. And I just become so productive in all the different ways. I end up cleaning my house. I end up cleaning out my email inbox, going through some tax documents, getting my mail, all the things I absolutely hate doing. I've heard people say that it's the fear of the unknown, right? Humans naturally want to be comfortable all the time and be fed and be in the cave. And any inkling to coming outside of your cave, outside of your comfort zone, is equivalent to going outside of your cave as a cave woman or caveman and putting yourself in danger. And that's why in the moment, there's so much resistance. When you're looking at it, you go, okay, all I have to do is get on this phone call and have this conversation with this person. And then my brain says, I don't want to, or I'm scared, or I don't want to have that conversation. And at the end of the day, it's just a conversation. It's just a phone call. It's just a Zoom call. It's just an email. You can't die. You're not going to die. But in the moment, sometimes it feels like I'm going to die or I might die or that I'm putting myself in danger. And that's why I like this terminology when people say, I'm in a war within my own mind. It's mind wars. I think that being in this place of a mind war is evidence that we're moving in the right direction. I'm hopeful that this is evidence that I am moving in the right direction. I'm in the battlefield every day, trying to be observant of my own thoughts, trying to be a witness to this crazy world that is around us, but at the same time, not allowing it to distract me from my goals and my intentions and my mission and what I want to accomplish in my life. Productivity to me just means being creative. A lot of times I'll ask myself, are you being more creative? Are you creating more? Or are you consuming more? It's a very simple spectrum. Creativity's on one side, consumption's on the other. If you're spending more than 50% of your time consuming and less than 50% of your time creating, you're probably out of balance. I find that for myself, if I am not being creative, being productive, when I say creative, I mean productive, my time that I spent on something, I have something to show for it. And being creative, whether it's a painting, writing, making a video, talking to a friend through a problem, being useful in some way, being creative with solutions. There's lots of ways to be creative and productive. It doesn't have to just be monetary. But I find that if I have that more than 50%, I'm a lot happier. I don't get depressed. I might get a little bit more anxious. My point is, please don't let yourself get distracted because in 10 years, when you look back on 2026, are you going to say, oh man, I wish I would have known more about what was going on? You're probably going to say, man, I wish I would have pulled my head out of my ass and really worked on that thing. I bet I could have done something with myself or done something with that project. Or I really go to the end of the road a lot of times, almost on a daily basis now. I call it my rocking chair test. I talk to the 80-year-old version of myself, and she's on a porch, she's in a rocking chair, and she's giving me advice. And sometimes she says, honey, you are not going to remember this. This is just a little tiny rock in your shoe. You're not even going to remember the day you had to pull the rock out of your shoe. It's not a big deal. Just move on. Just keep. And a lot of times the message is just keep moving, just keep pushing. Even if you don't know exactly what the direction is, what the map is, what the GPS is, you don't know every single turn. A lot of times we have a compass. It's an internal compass. We know which direction we should be going. For the most part, we know what general activities we should be doing. And sometimes if I don't know what to do, I'll just journal it out, journal it out. And comfort isn't always the enemy. I think many of you understand that the information and thoughts I'm sharing here are really just the struggles that I'm going through. I don't want to sound like I'm judging anybody, although I would be lying if I told you I didn't judge anybody. But I am just constantly surprised at how many times I have to learn the same lessons over and over again. And it's really just from a different lens or from a different angle that I'm relearning the lesson. And comfort isn't always the enemy. Sometimes when I am craving comfort, it's because I'm burnt out, and I hate that term. But at the same time, I know that the season I'm in is not going to last forever. And looking back at these different seasons of my life, the seasons where I was tired at the end of the day were the good old days, right? And I look back and say, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But it's proof to myself that I can do hard things. And I will look back on this period of my life and say, what was I thinking? What was I going through? How was I feeling in that moment? Sometimes when I'm seeking comfort, it is just because I'm tired and I need to rest and I need to be more efficient with my resting and be more structured with my resting. So when I find myself in a place where I'm getting burnt out, it's usually because I'm doing something that's not quite in alignment with my goals, or maybe I need to adjust my goal a little bit because it's not really what I want anymore. Because burnout doesn't just come from working hard. I can work hard and love every minute of it and thoroughly enjoy myself. I mean, even going to Six Flags is hard. Going to an amusement park is quote unquote fun, but it's a pain in the ass. It's a lot of work. You get on a shuttle bus probably and park far away from the place and walk miles and miles and miles and wait in long lines and spend too much money and do all these things. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's fun, right? So there are times where we're still doing what we love, but we're just getting tired. I have always worked in recovery time. I learned this from the gym, or I learned this from trying to be as good as I could at lifting and now at dance. And that's what I focus on because I don't consider myself a dancer. Looking at sports performance, everybody talks about recovery. Sometimes it's not necessarily that the athlete is more gifted or the athlete can do X, Y, or Z. It almost doesn't matter how great the athlete is if they haven't recovered properly prior to their event or if they get injured. And a lot of times, injuries are a result of lack of recovery. And recovery can come down to just something as simple as sleep. Are you sleeping enough? Because your body cannot repair if you are not getting adequate sleep. You can go and rip all your muscle up and do all the shoulder raises and hip thrusters and lunges all day long. But if you're getting an hour of sleep a day, you're not going to build any muscle. When you sleep, that's when your body repairs. So you have to get good sleep to recover and build muscle and burn fat. Another part of the recovery is deep tissue manipulation. I do foam rolling. There's lots of pieces to recovery. And I think it's the same with business. We want to challenge our minds and we want to challenge our problem solving skills and challenge that part of our mind that tells us it isn't possible or tells us that we can't do it. The first step in that, obviously, is tell yourself you can do it. And if you were to do it, how would that be possible? Or what could that look like? Or what actions could be taken? Create a theory as to what actions would be required to accomplish that, and then do it and do a little test group, take a little test, have a sample of 2 weeks or 2 months or 90 days. I like 90 days. I like setting up things and say, okay, if I do this in 90 days, maybe I'll get to this. And then in 90 days, I see if I did it. And then I go, well, I obviously have to do more of that. So let's do more of that. I guess instead of doing an hour a day, now I got to do 2 hours. Or same goes with recovery. So I try to make this structured. I try to say by this time every night, I'm doing mindless shit like scrolling on my phone or reading a book or playing with the kids. It's nice having kids because you can do therapeutic coloring. Setting up boundaries, structured boundaries around my recovery and sleep times. And I have to put my foot down sometimes, especially with my husband, because he is not a recovery guy. He's just a go, 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 sleep when you're dead kind of person. And I cannot function like that. I need more sleep in order for my brain to work properly. And I want to stay young and youthful as long as possible. And we all need our beauty sleep in order to do that. So, my point is that comfort is not the enemy. If I find myself getting burnt out, I try to focus on why am I here? Okay, take some extra time, lay in my bed, journal, read a book, do what I got to do, listen to some personal development, get organized, get my goals rewritten, get everything reassessed, and think, okay, why am I in this place? Why am I in this pit of despair? And work on my mental game, sleep some extra hours, get up and try again. And I'll build in purposeful recovery for those reasons. Because if I don't take my Sundays and do certain things on Sundays, turn my brain off, go to the zoo, get outside, do grounding. I find just getting outside, going on a walk, going to the park, going to the zoo with the kids, something that takes not a lot of mental energy, maybe something that I've done before. So, my next note is put comfort in the proper place. I touched on this. This is something that I have been sticking to, and I do like what this mindset is bringing forward for me. I like that it minimizes guilt and some other negative emotions around taking breaks. I have found in myself that if I purposefully schedule those breaks, there's not as much guilt around it. It's just something that I do. It's part of my plan, and I have reasons why I pursue those comforts and do them for the sake of comfort alone, if that makes sense. Because I am allowed to be comfortable and I don't always have to put myself in a pressure cooker and be so sadistic. Although having those accents in my life is something that does suit my personality. It's like, can we bring that down to 10%? And then put 10% into the comfort, have a nice balance there. I do like that spectrum of sadistic, overworking, punishing. I don't know if it's punishing, but just doing things for the sake of them being hard. I do enjoy that. And I do think that's always going to be a part of my personality. And part of it might be rebellious because it's like, okay, tell me I can't. Now watch me try and try to prove you wrong and watch me continue to sink my teeth into this and not let it go like a dog on a bone, like a pit bull until I figure this thing out and prove you wrong. Anyway, so just planning that time and for me it being in a consistent way in my schedule, in my rhythm of life, an experience that I enjoy. I found that if I don't plan it, it ends up being haphazard and spontaneous, which can also be fun. But I've found that when it is more spontaneous, I am questioning myself more. I have less confidence about taking that time. Should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? Am I really burnt out? Am I just being lazy? There's just more questions and more mind wars, more mind battles. And I don't need any more of those. Starting with 15 minutes. I usually start with just 15 minutes. When I'm starting a project, I'm feeling resistant. And usually, resistance for me starts with the words, I don't know. And if you allow the words, I don't know to win, if I allow the words, I don't know to win, everything stops there. So for me, hearing I don't know is a trigger for me to push past it and not accept I don't know as an answer for myself. And when I refuse to accept I don't know as an answer, the next step is usually has to do with Google or Gemini or ChatGPT or Perplexity or one of the AI agents today. But just a couple of years ago, most people probably would have started with Google or phoning a friend, consulting with their higher self through journaling. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling like I don't know what the first step is. Give me the first step in a prompt. And this is what I'm thinking about. And I have found that I have to use these technologies on a regular basis and train my brain as to how to coach myself through using AI agents to continue to learn and get better, not use it so much as a crutch or use it to create for me, but use it as a tool to create alongside me or use it as a tool to help me progress faster. If I know the right answer, if I know the next best thing, or if I can start on something in 5 seconds versus sitting there wandering, journaling, talking to myself, trying to pontificate what the possible next step could be, having that AI there to bounce ideas off of has certainly sped things up for me. So that's just practically what I use, but philosophically, I don't know isn't acceptable. So I've decided that an I don't know isn't an acceptable answer for myself. So I need to move past that and start asking different questions. So once I push past that, start asking deeper questions, getting some actionable steps that can be taken in a project, that first 15 minutes really flies by. Usually, that first 15 minutes is a war of my mind within my mind of the I don't know and deciding what the next right step is going to be. So, setting a goal of getting past those first 15 minutes, even if I have to set a timer, it usually turns into longer than 15 minutes. But if it doesn't, that's okay too. I have to have some compassion for myself. And I have been hearing this message at church and in the podcasts I listen to, this message of forgiveness. And every time I hear this message, I internally am hearing, forgive yourself. And I think that's really profound. And I don't think that it came from me. I think it came from the ether, from God, from the higher self, from whatever you want to call it. I don't know if we can forgive other people. I don't know if we can. And I've been thinking about this for about a week. When I tune into the feeling of forgiving another person, they say to forgive but don't forget. And I can vibe with that. I jam with that. I can intuit with that. But think that's just on the surface level. I think that's a very scratching the surface saying and mindset. And I'm right now, I believe that we cannot forgive other people until we forgive ourselves. And that is where I'm currently rested, my mind and my thinking on and my mindset around that forgiveness topic. As I said before, once I get through the first 15 minutes, sometimes I do just stop. Sometimes I'm like, all right, my timer went off. That's what I said I would do. And that's all I have that day is 15 minutes. I did what I said I would do. I'm done. I'm moving on. And then other days, if I set the 15 minutes, I feel really good. And I'm feeling the flow. That's really all I'm looking for is to me, there is nothing better in this world than working and being productive and being creative and being in a flow. Having that flow state is what I'm seeking most days, even if I just get a few minutes of it. Because that's all I'm searching for is that feeling of flow. And it's just, that's when my work is most rewarding. That's when my life feels the most rewarding. That's when I'm enjoying what I do. the most and the most creative and the most productive. And when I am in that state and I've passed the 15 minutes, it's like, oh, let's turn this off. Let's just jam. Let's jam out. And I usually just try to jam out until it's gone. The flow state is gone and I'm not feeling that spark of inspiration anymore, or that state anymore. And I allow myself to shut it down because we did our goal. We did the 15 minutes and that might last for another 30 minutes. Sometimes it lasts for another 2 hours. I usually don't go beyond the 2.5 hour mark. And unfortunately, with all that said, most people quit. Most people set out to do things and then they just give up and they quit or they move on to something else. And I think I'm more of a dog with a bone, like a pit bull with bone. Once I decide that I'm going to do something until I figure it out, that's what I do. And I commit to it every day and I commit to regular, consistent effort towards that, even if I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And honestly, most of the time, I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. I just know that I'm taking action, and the actions that I take, as long as they are moral and they're for the right reasons and I have the best intentions in mind, I give myself the green light to do it and to go for it. And if I have discomfort along the way, that's probably a good sign. That's probably a really good sign. So, most people, from what I hear, quit before they acknowledge any of the positive benefits of the new behavior or getting rid of an old behavior. And same with the sitting down and doing the deep focus work, is it's not easy. There's more distractions now today than any other time in history. We have information, data immediately. We have crazy ass markets, stock markets, crypto markets. We have crazy protests and threatenings of wars all over the place. We've got prices are going up and inflation, then we've got deflationary pressures and fears, and we have political drama, and we have awesome TV shows and series on Netflix and Amazon, and endless streaming, endless shows, endless movies, any single movie that you could ever want at your fingertips at any moment you would ever want it, from your phone, from your laptop. Most people have a TV in every room. There's more distractions now than ever before in history. And most people, unfortunately, will not be training their minds to do deep focus work. I will continue to fight the mind wars to make this brain do deep focus work every day. If I get 15 to 30 minutes, so be it. But most days, I'm fighting for my 2.5 hours. That's where I'm at. Where are you at? What do you think? Do you struggle with these same focus sessions? Do you have a goal? Are you fighting the mind wars to focus on your deep work and create something meaningful? Start. So, what I can do today is I know that if I work on something that I believe is important for my future and is in alignment with my morals and my values, I will get better and I will be a better person for it. And that is the outcome that I want. And finding that outcome, that mission, that reason, find a better reason.